Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be dissertating and talking about zodiac signs and mental illness. The first thing I want to get at is that most people, as most of you know, do not have mental illness. This video simply states which signs may have greater propensity for certain mental disorders based on their astrological characteristics. So let me get started. And yes, this does pertain and apply to the sun, moon, and ascendant. I'm going to go through all 12 zodiac signs, starting with Aries and ending with Pisces. So for Aries, I think maybe possibly acute personality disorder might be figure prominently as far as a mental illness connected with this sign, because Aries is a sign, it's ruled by Mars, and the combativeness, the angry, acrimonious kind of way. I think that this, to me, the acute personality disorder, it can indicate, it can lead to excessive, angry, acrimonious type behavior, and also another. Another mental illness might be connected strongly with the sign, I believe, might be intermittent explosive disorder, which could indicates abrupt, angry, volatile type actions and outbursts. Now for Taurus, well, Taurus is known to be indulgent and can love food and really is a sign you think likes to consume, as far as eating goes, maybe more so than any of the other signs. So I think with Taurus, it may be like binge-related issues, perhaps eating disorders like compulsive eating is what I would call it, just general the overindulgence. And Taurus being an earth sign, I would equate this with depression. The earth signs tend to be a little bit more melancholy. So as far as a possible a Taurus mental condition, I think the depression could be strong with them. And also there's something called the seasonal one, the SAD, which is more sporadic bouts of the depression and during certain seasons. So that's what I see for Taurus. Now for Gemini, well, I think what would be obvious could be maybe perhaps the bipolar manic depression. And you have also a Gemini, I think the attention deficit disorder, because Geminis are not known for their persistence and as far as the habits and in terms of listening for prolonged time, for any long extensive time or discussion. Yes, they can assimilate things, information in a rather short period of time. But if I was to equate maybe a mental condition which would be prominent for Gemini, I would say that the attention deficit disorder in just general, like the psychosomatic illness, the bipolar manic depression. You have Gemini as a sign, it's a mutable sign, and you have the vacillation with the mood. So in terms of if there was a mental condition for Gemini, I think this would be one that could figure strongly with them. Now, as far as Cancer, well, for Cancer, I think it could be very strong emotional, unless the sign is obviously very emotional, being a water sign. And I think it may be even social phobia. Cancers tend to be rather introverted. So social phobia, having an aversion to social situations, that would be a mental illness I would equate strongly with this sign. Now, and also perhaps even the paranoid personality disorder, that persistent suspicion of others, I think strongly is with Cancer. I think that's a sign that seems to be with as far as the paranoid thing, and that to me, I would say could figure strongly with them. So that would be another mental illness I would see strong with this as far as the zodiac sign Cancer goes. Now, for Leo, maybe something with delusions of grandeur. That would be something with that would be like a grandiose delusions, I believe, if I'm saying that right. And I think an overinflated and mental is connected with maybe an overinflated significance of oneself or power. I believe the narcissistic personality type I could see with Leo as well. And there was also something interesting I researched. There's a mental illness called erotomania, and the erotomania is something that's connected with something delusional, and often it's about when someone feels someone of notoriety is really infatuated with them. So it has something to do with maybe this feeling of that self-importance and thinking that somebody of fame might be interested in them. And I think I could see with the Leo, with that royalty, that kingly sense, and that feeling of importance, and maybe if Leo, as far as mental illnesses, I think this could be one which I could see happen with Leo. I had a prominent family member that was Sun in Leo, and he had a breakdown one time, and he had delusions of grandeur. So I do see that, like I stated before, something strong as far as a potential mental illness for Leo. So now the next sign we'll talk about is Virgo. Now I think with Virgo, I think hypochondria could be something that would be prominent with Virgo if there was as far as mental illness may go, because they have this propensity as far as worrying, and I think, and then the health issue. The Virgo is strongly connected. The sign Virgo is strongly connected with health, I think, and many Virgos really want strongly to be healthy. So, and as far as a mental condition may go, perhaps hypochondria could be a possibility, a strong possibility with them. And also the generalized anxiety disorder, which could be like a distorted tension and worrying. And Virgo does have that proclivity to worry. So that would be something I would equate with the sign Virgo as well. Now, as far as the zodiac sign Libra, interestingly enough, I see maybe something called a dependent personality disorder, which could indicate about a strong aversion to separation from people prominent in their lives. Many of you know that Libras are strongly about partnerships and relationships and collaborating with others on things. So I think as far as as a potential mental illness, this is something that I could see possibly strong with the sign Libra. And as far as Scorpio would go, I think OCD could be something with Scorpio, because Scorpio is known to become fixated with things, and in the obsession, I think Scorpio in a worse manifestation can become very obsessive and fixated. So if there was a mental disorder I would equate with this sign, I think the OCD, the obsessive compulsive disorder, I could figure I would think would correspond with this sign very strongly. And also the narcissistic personality disorder, which can indicate an overemphasis on power. Scorpio can be a type that could be very, in the most negative sense, could be very about power and control. And I think, and also I think you have this where you could have this distorted feeling of importance and also this emphasis on power. So I think I could see that being equated with Scorpio as far as a potential mental disorder or illness. Now Sagittarius. Well, Sagittarius can be very restless and antsy. In Sagittarius, I see that maybe as being maybe the hyperactivity disorder can be associated strongly with them, based on being the fact they could be hyper, they could be restless, and always wanted to move around and meander and go here and go there. And I think I do believe that could be something with Sagittarius, and even something like compulsive talking, which I might equate with Gemini as well, which I should have mentioned before, but didn't. Compulsive talking is somebody that talks more beyond what is surpasses what is socially acceptable as far as communication, where it becomes very incessant and excessive, well beyond the normal, quote unquote normal limits for that. So that's another thing I would see as far as a possible Sagittarius mental illness or disorder. Now Capricorn, I think the obvious one would be the depression, or what I call melancholia, because it is an earth sign and it's ruled by Saturn, the quote unquote sad planet. And Capricorn, I think as far as a possible mental illness or disorder, Capricorn can become maybe more despondent than the other signs on average. So I see the depression strong as far as a potential mental illness or disorder for the sign Capricorn. And there's also the seasonal affective disorder, SAD, like I described earlier, is where the sadness and despondency is more sporadic and it comes more in different, it's more seasonal. So that could be another thing. Now for Aquarius, well, anything real like an unusual, bizarre mental illness I could see with the sign Aquarius. So just anything that might be something that might not be very common, or something more, I guess, bizarre or a little bit different as far as a mental illness would go. There was also, it seems like from my research as well, the sociopath could be with Aquarius, because a sociopath could disdain what is legally correct. It often can equate to criminal-like behavior. And you know that Aquarius is the sign of the rebel, the nonconformist, so I think you get the idea. So as far as a mental disorder, I could see that being strongly connected with the sign Aquarius. And last but not least, Pisces is a mutable sign, a dual sign. So bipolar manic depression could be something, I would say, maybe connected with Pisces. Schizophrenia, perhaps even social anxiety disorder, because I see Pisces, like Cancer, is very introverted, and Pisces can often be strongly about solitude and seclusion. So for those reasons, I do see that perhaps with Pisces. And here's an interesting thing with Pisces too, is what I think could be a strong possibility as well. There's something, I don't know if I'm saying it right, called Capgras syndrome, and it's someone in their life that they feel has been replaced, prominent in their life, replaced with a replica. And the reason I say this with Pisces is because Pisces is ruled by Neptune, which is the planet of illusion. So maybe there's like a little self-deception going on with this condition. So thinking that somebody prominent in their life has been was replaced by a replica, so they're it's like self-deception. So you get the idea, and that's why it's kind of an illusion in their mind. So really, that's why I see that condition perhaps prominent as far as a potential mental illness of Pisces. Now, as I stated earlier, I want to reiterate what I said kind of earlier in the video, that most people don't have mental illness. I did some research online. I couldn't see globally, but for the United States, it seemed like it was approximately 1 in 5 people have a mental condition. So this is not to imply or intimate that everything I talked about, that all these signs are going to have these mental illnesses, and because only 1 in 5 doing 4 in 5, or approximately 1 in 5 maybe, but 4 in 5 do not. If 1 in 5 in the United States approximately have mental illness, I mean, I'm sure, I don't know 100%, but I'm sure globally that percentage must be at least pretty close to that, I would guess. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for zodiac signs and mental illness. And stay tuned next time, where I'll be continuing my series on the Sun Ascendant combinations. 2 things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone, because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart, and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.